Welcome to the One Gang Worldwide podcast, your ultimate ride into the world of motorcycles. Visit cyclesworldwide.com where we offer a completely free marketplace for everything motorcycles. Join our One Gang community where you can connect, share info, and swap stories with riders from all over the world. Join for free at cyclesworldwide.com and be a part of the One Gang community right now. On today's episode of the One Gang Worldwide podcast, we're joined by Greg Arnold, the auction manager for the Mecum Motorcycle division. Greg plays a pivotal role in bringing some of the rarest and most coveted motorcycles to auction, helping to shape the market and preserve motorcycle heritage. In today's episode, Greg will share insights and behind the scenes of the world of motorcycle auctions and explore the trends and future of collecting vintage and rare motorcycles. So let's shift into gear and dive into the high-stakes world of motorcycle auctions with Greg Arnold, right here on the One Gang podcast.
Pretty much it's still pre-war, for American motorcycles. Pre-war, we're starting to make some inroads, You take a 1946 or a 1947 Harley Davidson knucklehead, it's not any different than a 1941 Harley Davidson knucklehead. It's the same. Gotcha. But the post-war ones were lagging for quite a while. They're starting to catch up now,
Right.
Hey, One Gang, if you enjoy the podcast, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You can turn notifications on to hear when new episodes are dropped, too. Any of your engagement supports the show and helps us book great guests and keeps us going. If you or a friend would make a great guest, hit us up at cyclesworldwide.com or drop a comment. Thank you guys so much.
One Gang Worldwide podcast, brought to you by Keyboard Motorcycle Shipping. Since 1978, Keyboard Motorcycle Shipping has been the trusted name in transporting motorcycles safely across the country. With custom-designed pallets and air ride trailers, your bike is secure and protected every step of the way. By choosing Keyboard Motorcycle Shipping, you're supporting a dedicated small business that prioritizes quality and customer satisfaction. Ship with a peace of mind, knowing your motorcycle is in expert hands.
Please visit shippingmymotorcycle.com. That's shippingmymotorcycle.com. And now, back to our show.
Hey, One Gang, welcome to the show. Today we've got Greg Arnold of Mecum, the motorcycle division manager. We're excited to get a behind-the-scene glimpse into Mecum. Thanks for joining us, Greg.
Oh, no problem. I'm happy to be here.
Thanks,
Great
Greg.
to see you,
Yeah, likewise, man. Thank you so much for taking the time. So we got a million questions, obviously, but like we do most shows, let's just start at the beginning. Let's tell us a little bit about where you grew up, some of the early passions and hobbies of your childhood.
Yeah, we can do that. For some reason, I was always attracted to anything mechanical. I'm a nuts and bolts guy. I was since I could walk. I was taking stuff apart, thinking about how things may work. Not like a genius inventor or anything, but I was always interested in it. And, I started modifying bicycles at a young age because that's what you had. And, and all of us on bicycles dreamed, we could have motorized transport, so you didn't have to pedal anymore. For me, it's always been motorcycles. That's what I was interested in. Obviously, in the climate I grew up in the upper Midwest, you have to have a car too. And I had cars, but it's always been bikes. My buddies and I tried to graft lawnmower engines onto bicycle frames. And ultimately, I bought one from a neighbor for $10 that had a rope start Briggs & Stratton on it. And the way we went, I think I was all of 11 years old then,
Nice.
But, that first feeling of getting on something with wheels and being able, this thing had, like a cable throttle with a thumb thing straight off the lawnmower clamped to the handlebar, but to roll that throttle on a mighty 1.5 horsepower Briggs & Stratton and take off down the road is a feeling that just can't be duplicated.
No doubt about it. Was there somebody in your life at a young age that kind of influenced you with this, or was it maybe your dad or someone?
Some of the older guys that be going by on motorcycles. I think in that era, in the mid '60s, that would have been. There was a couple of guys in a very small town I grew up in that had CH Sportsters, but there was other stuff running around. Japanese motorcycles were just starting to come on the market, and it was all interesting to me. So that was some influence. My father had ridden motorcycles pretty extensively prior to World War II, but he never had one after the war. But he got in the airplanes instead.
Are you a Wisconsin boy? Did you grow up in Wisconsin?
State line. I was born in Wisconsin, but I actually was raised just across the state line in Illinois.
Gotcha.
We kind of follow the same program now. I live in Illinois and work in Wisconsin, but it's only a 20-mile commute, so
Got it.
country ride. That's 90% of my motorcycle riding is back
I
and
know.
forth.
It's got to be so beautiful, man, in the summers to be
man,
able
it's
to
nice,
commute
yeah.
back and forth.
Yeah.
That's cool. So before auctions and before you got into that world, what did your career look like? What were you up to?
I had a job when I was, I've always had a job. When I was a senior in high school, I was on one of those work programs where I worked in a factory, in the afternoons for, some credit or something that seemed obvious to, my teachers and so forth, that I probably wasn't going to go to college because I had zero interest in school at that point, and I thought, well, listen, I want to get out of high school and I want to work with my hands,
Right.
which is a common thing, but what you don't realize is you're sending yourself to a life of hard labor then, but still, I enjoy the outdoors, but my early career was actually then mechanical. After I graduated from high school, I worked in a proverbial corner gas station first off, and then I worked for a farm implement repair.
Oh, cool.
Little country shop,
Right.
Yeah.
corn stalks and hydrant on the floor, that kind of thing, and then, the money just wasn't there. So then I managed to get on as a carpenter apprentice and spent most of my working career in construction, primarily as a carpenter. So that's where we
Really?
worked.
That's cool.
Like I said, I'd known the Mecums for a long time. And the building we're at in Wisconsin right now is a former grocery store, a 50,000 square foot grocery store.
Wow.
Dana Mecum had bought it because it was a bargain, and then he was using it for a car warehouse, but there was pipes sticking out of the floor and wires hanging from the ceiling and stuff. And he asked me late in 2010, I believe, if I could build some offices in this old grocery store building for him. They're planning on offices for 30 people. So I started with that, incidentally, there's 130 people that walk in here every day now.
Wow.
Oh, but I spent about 3 years working on the building, mostly full time, did the offices, then some other stuff. I built a diner. I built a full size bank facade and just turned the rest of the building into something that would look like, the headquarters of what was rapidly becoming a very big concern. So that went well.
Is that where you are now?
Yes, that's where I am now. Yeah.
So that's so wow, huh? I mean, just you built this stuff that you're in.
I did.
It's so amazing, man. That's cool.
Late in 2013, Dana Mecum acquired Mid-America Motorcycles from Ron Christensen, who at that time was running the largest motorcycle auction in the world, annually in Las Vegas, but he was at, maybe 350 motorcycles around that level somewhere. When Dana bought that, he asked me if I would be willing to put down the hammer and run the motorcycle division from the Mecum side.
Wow.
And I said, well, and then suppose if I have to, I could. So
how did you get connected with Dana initially? Was it just that he was a client and found the construction company, or how did that opportunity come
No, it was a little more personal than that. I had married a woman from the town where Dana started the auction company at Marigo, Illinois, which is where I still live. But my wife was very close with Dana's wife, and so it goes back a long way. We had they have 4 sons, but one of our son was the same age as Frank Mecum, who you'll see up on the auction block with Dana all the time. So our son and Frank went all through grade school and high school, and
Cool.
Little League and Cub Scouts and
Right.
junior tackle, and then high school football, the whole time together. So we knew
That's awesome.
we knew the Mecums very well. So
That's
when
cool.
Dana was
Dana
looking
already
for somebody
trusted you and everything.
in construction that could build these offices out for him, immediately came to mind. That was during that construction tsunami, which I had held on to my long-term job for quite a while. And eventually I became, one of the more expensive employees. So I went too. So, that was a bit of serendipity when Dana, decided to tap me for the motorcycle division. He'd known me for a long time already.
Right.
And he knew that I was a motorcycle nut. And he knew that I had some knowledge of the antique motorcycles and a passion about them. So I was a fairly natural fit, I think,
That's cool.
my knowledge in that direction in the last 10 years, of course, it's increased exponentially, but I had a pretty good start.
Greg, take us to the first days at Mecum. Kind of like once that purchase was made and Dana made the purchase of that other motorcycle auction company, hired you on. What was the initial vision for the motorcycle division and the goals that you set for yourself in that early phase?
Expansion. That's what Dana was interested in. He wanted to take it to the next level. And he wanted to teach car people to buy motorcycles, collector motorcycles, It's been, fairly successful. We've gone from 350 motorcycles in Las Vegas to 1,500 or more. So,
wow.
So it's worked. And a lot of people don't realize we have motorcycles at every Mecum auction. We have about 15 auctions a year, including a motorcycle one, but there's bikes at all of them. Kissimmee last year, for instance, we don't promote Kissimmee as a motorcycle auction along with the cars, actually, but we always have them. I just counted the other day, we had 138 motorcycles at the Kissimmee auction last year. So it's always pretty well represented. So yes, we have car people buying motorcycles. We convinced them that motorcycles take up about 1/6 of the room of a car.
Right.
They are not
Easy
easy
to
to keep
collect.
them inside rust farms like cars are.
Right.
And they're cool. You can go into your office, you can go into your house, you can go over your fireplace for God's sake if you want to.
Yeah. Gearheads are gearheads. So I mean,
Yeah,
if they
that's
like
right.
if they like muscle cars, they like vintage bikes too. So that's the beauty.
They
of
do.
them.
They do. And the car guys, all of them were a kid.
Sure.
They may not have had any other, two-wheeled motor conveyance after that, but they all started with a Honda mini bike, seemingly. So they have a lot of nostalgia for that. So those are always very popular at the car auctions. And, those go in an office or a living room very easily, too. So there's a lot of nostalgia for those things, with good reason.
Of course. So when you came on, did he basically tell you like, hey, this is what I need you to do? Were you at that point then responsible to kind of put a new process in, maybe some new team members? How did you elevate that department? Because you guys, like Dana built the car side and then you bought something from somebody else. So how did you kind of implement that to be your own?
We had a 3-year transition deal with Ryan Christensen to stick around, so for a smooth transition, and it worked really well. And Ron's a good salesman. He just didn't quite ever have the pockets to be able to take the marketing where it needed to go. So
Gotcha.
So he had some new freedom with that, and we had a directive, but we've always run it on a shoestring. For a long time it was just me and Ron. Of course, they had the full support Mecum staff, but then I was able to hire someone just for the motorcycle department, and we subsequently hired another one, and we'll probably expand again. But I had the direction. I knew what Dana's direction was, but I had no job description whatsoever. I had I got a cubicle and a telephone and a computer, and I had to figure out what my role was pretty much from scratch. Wow. And, I had come from a world of that stupid, but in the construction world at that point back then, at the end of the day, I would write my material list on a scrap piece of wood and take it in the lumberyard in the morning. That's a different world
all
from
your
the
supplies.
That's a different world from the highly, technologized collector car auction worlds. A steep learning curve, but it really was no problem. I enjoyed every minute of it. I'm 70 years old, I mean, I could retire, but, it's
This is too much fun.
It's old motorcycles all day, every day. How do you beat that,
Tough.
I spent a lot of hours in it, far more than I ever did in construction, but, still the world is good.
That's right.
I travel a lot for, collection acquisition, besides auction stuff. So
Do you enjoy that
it's
part?
good, enjoyable, still is.
That's awesome.
You enjoy the traveling part?
Yeah, I do, I used to go to every car auction, plus the other travel for, collection acquisition and so forth. And it gets to be a lot. I do not mind flying. I don't mind airports. I don't mind hotels, and I can pick up and go, and, at the drop of a hat doesn't bother me. I'm not nervous about any of that. Ultimately, what it is how many nights are you at from home?
Right.
Right. That's the only downside to any of that. So at this point, I have enough help that I don't have to go to every single car auction now. So that takes a lot of the strain off. Still travel, because I do go to some of the auctions. Obviously, the January motorcycle auction, I'll be at that, and then I'll also be in the city immediately before that. And then, hit some of the other auctions. But we do other events, I was just down at the Barber Vintage Motorcycle Festival. I don't know if cool.
Yeah,
That's on the
Birmingham.
radar or not.
Oh, absolutely.
That's a very cool event.
Very cool
we
event.
exhibited there about 7 out of the last 8 years.
Wow.
And I'll take display motorcycles for the Las Vegas auction with me down there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I'll set up in the swap meet area, which is fast, because I feel that's where our customer base is more so than being in the fan zone. I don't know if you've ever been there or not, but it is quite a place.
It is quite a place. Yep, I've been there. It's a beautiful spot.
Yeah, it's like a Ivy League college campus. I mean,
Yeah,
it really is nice.
That and Wheels Through Time. Those two places are just amazing.
I have yet to make it to Maggie Valley.
Oh my God, you got to go. You got to go.
I do.
Yeah, it's unbelievable what
I know
what Dale and his son have built there. It's absolutely amazing.
It's a big gap, in places I should have been. But
You will.
I'll get there.
That's right.
Down about it.
So, Greg, everybody sees the final product, the final polished product, but they don't necessarily see the challenges and obstacles that go into reaching that, especially for an auction that now has a 90% plus sell-through rate. What are some of those behind the scenes sort of difficulties that you encountered early on and still encounter today?
Well, we have a consignor is pretty regularly is not a problem. We don't have to, of course we market, advertise, but the motorcycles come to us, obviously we nurture the relationships and stuff, with long-time customers, and we're looking for new ones and stuff, but they do come in. We don't have to dig too hard to find the consignments. Which is great because it leaves us to concentrate and actually be able to market and sell what we are getting. Challenges are, technology. Some of our customers are older. They like not to write in their lumber list on a scrap of wood. And we still do the U.S. mail with some of it with some customers. We still have that capability. So that's okay. That's a little bit of it, and. Everybody's busy. Try to get the consigners to give us some information about the motorcycle, is difficult sometimes.
Makes sense.
We don't like to badger people, but we have our customer experience staff that, we'll have to call them pretty regularly, to try and get some information on them to help us sell their motorcycle.
That's funny. Like,
That's one of the biggest
challenges
challenges. So, but my own, inside joke, which probably isn't funny is a lot of people do their damnedest to not sell their motorcycle, so
They don't want.
we
I
have
know.
to,
They
we
don't
have to
want to.
overcome that. And obviously we do with it, 70 to 90% sell through rate. But
I know.
yeah,
I know.
that's a challenge sometimes.
The attachment to toys is crazy, but for
Right,
sure.
right.
Let me ask you this. I mean, the auction world is obviously very competitive. As your division started gaining traction, kind of how did you and the team expand the reach? I know you were saying like mail and stuff like that with some technology, but coming into a division and then trying to grow it, take us a little bit about the strategies you use to build the trust with like sellers and buyers for the motorcycle side.
There's a couple things. Auctions, it's a family-held company to this day. It's not a public company. It's the founders, husband and wife, and their 4 sons who own the company and who run it. And Dana built his business on personal relationships, and it's still that way. We make real attempts at knowing our customers. We visit all of them we can. Dana and Frank and some of the other sales staff are on the road continuously visiting customers, looking at collections and trying to sell. And, the auction business, collector car business, collector motorcycle business, Dana Mecum will be the first one to tell you that he is a used car salesman, but he's the straightest one I ever met.
Right.
And he genuinely cares. He wants people to be happy and satisfied, and you'll go to great lengths. And I think that tells, you want to be in business for a long time, you have to take care of your customers.
Of course.
So, that's what we do. We don't just leave them adrift. We take care of the deal from the beginning all the way through the end.
How are you reaching the people that may not have been too familiar on the Mecum side as far as the motorcycle division? Maybe they thought that they had the car division, but the motorcycle was something maybe a little taboo for them. And how did you do that? Were you specifically going out to different types of auctions that were going on around the country and kind of talking to the sellers and saying, hey, listen, this is what we offer? Like, how did that come about to get more notoriety towards the Mecum motorcycle side?
Well, our marketing is really extensive. Our customer database is enormous.
Right.
We have 20 million page views a month probably with Mecam.com.
Wow.
But as soon as we started a motorcycle division, with a name on it, it's right at the head, when you go to Mecam.com, it's cars, motorcycles, road art, so on. So right across the top, it's there. So immediately I started, realizing that we had, some motorcycles at every car auction. So I would go to every car auction. I would have a booth that said motorcycles on it. And whatever motorcycles we had at that auction, I would have them lined up at my booth at the auction, whether it was Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, or, Anaheim, California at the time, say, or Kansas City, or Chicago, or Indianapolis. And we've been to Portland and Seattle and Denver and so forth. So all those auctions, I had a booth that I had motorcycles, and, I would talk. That's how we would bring in the attendees, that maybe were just spectators, but also people that were selling cars, would come, geez, we didn't know you had a motorcycle division. I'm selling a couple of cars here, but I have bikes too, So that's how we started making inroads with the car people specifically. And, wheels and engines are wheels and engines. So there would be people that would just come to a Mecum auction and look at cars, but that maybe even more of their focus was on motorcycles. And so, we garnered a lot of customers that way and had a whole lot of conversations. It's turned out well.
That's cool.
We advertise in the magazines, both here and abroad. run a page. We're supporters of the, Vintage Japanese Motorcycle Club and the Antique Motorcycle Club of America. Uh, we promote, through any means we can.
So there is a lot that goes into these shows, to each show. Can you take us into kind of the key responsibilities and what goes into the preparation side of things for going into an auction?
Well, any auction, whether it's the any of the car auctions or the motorcycle auction, you have to have a place to hold it. Generally, a convention center, not always. The logistical problems are many. You have to, all the cars that are motorcycles enter at a Mecum auction. They belong to the consigners, not us. So they come in from all over the place. It's somewhat more regional with some of the car auctions, maybe, but it's quite often nationwide. Certainly with the motorcycles, that's for international, actually.
So it's up to the seller to get their vehicle to those specific auctions, correct?
That is correct. Now, we do have, there is a Mecum transport company that hauls cars. Unfortunately, trailers that are built to haul cars are not conducive to hauling motorcycles.
Absolutely.
They're just hydraulic ramps and so forth. That doesn't work for bikes. So we use, from the beginning, we've used Haul Bikes as our shipping partner, so to speak, to get motorcycles early in and out of Las Vegas. Fortunately, their West Coast warehouse is in Las Vegas. So that's a big help. So we will help, our consigners line transportation up. Certainly, you can use anybody you want, as long as they can deliver in the time where it needs to come in. But that is a logistical problem, whether it's to be solved with, whether it's cars or motorcycles. They all have to flow into this convention center. And you understand, convention centers have other events.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Quite often you might not get to convention center until Monday, and you have an auction that starts on Wednesday. So
it's insane.
So
has that happened to you? Has that happened to you where you were waiting on a specific motorcycle and it just didn't show up, or it was late?
You have a motorcycle that's for sale on Saturday, we have a rule that it has to be on site 24 hours before it's scheduled to go across the auction block. It has to be checked in and, on site. And we've stretched that a little bit. But, we prefer, longer it's on display, or a week, the better off it is for the seller. Yeah, there have been breakdowns and so forth where trucks are unavoidable.
Right.
It really doesn't happen too much,
All right,
January can be difficult to travel across
because
the country
the weather,
with some ice sometimes. But for the most part, it really pretty much shows up, so we're pretty good there. We travel, you got to get the cars there, but you have to have a Mecum auction there too. And, we're not this isn't a swap meet. We travel with, 8 to 9 semi-trailers just with sets and equipment. When you see us at a convention center, it looks like the Rolling Stones are there. So that whole set, the auction set and all that's all got to be built on site. The audio visual, the lighting, the stages itself, all of it is highly complex. It's got
how many 18-wheelers do you have just for stage lighting and everything else that carries all
what's
that
in
stuff
what
around?
trailer, but not counting any cars, just office equipment and stage setup and stuff and all that. Like I said, it could be 8 to 9 18-wheelers.
Wow.
That's insane.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it's a big deal.
Crazy.
It's expensive.
Would you say that the consignment management aspect is probably the biggest headache, or it needs the most attention out of the logistics? Or
I think certainly, a huge amount of customer contact and conversations, customer service, to get vehicles consigned and described and photographed and presented properly, marketing wise, the email blast, the web, just the the website, you know, and it's, that's where all the work is.
Right.
For me, you get to the auction site, you know, I mean, it's all done, but to sell it then, but
Yeah.
I don't want to take anything away from the operations guys. You got to set all that up. I mean, that is huge too, but to build up to it, that's what takes all the time. You know, our marketing department here, I think, is 20 or 30 people deep along.
Wow.
We do everything in house. You know, we don't have a printing press, but you know, all the graphic design, you know, the layout, the copywriting, all that's in house.
That's amazing. Do you have any funny stories or memorable moments that sort of capture the chaotic world of auctions?
You know, I usually don't find them funny.
It's stressful. Well, I get right. That's funny.
You know, when you're going, oh, holy crap, you know, how's this going to work? You know, excuse me again, the excitement, you know, of auctioning vehicles is fun. You know, there have been, you know, the times where, you know, maybe you're having a motorcycle roll up on a stage and it tips over, you know, those are
It's just, oh my God.
those are tough ones. Yeah. Doesn't happen very often, but well, you know, it has happened, you know, but you know, bargain today. Anything like that happens, of course, you know, we make it right with the seller.
Of course.
We don't leave anybody stuck with anything ever, you know. See, if it's our fault, you know, we handle it. So,
Greg, let me ask you this. We often see a lot of interest, obviously, in the American bikes, the Harley Davidsons, the Indians. Are there any specific eras or models that consistently draw high bids?
Pretty much it's still pre-war. You know, for American motorcycles, pre-war, you know, we're starting to make some inroads, you know. You take a 1946 or a 1947 Harley Davidson knucklehead, it's not any different than a 1941 Harley Davidson knucklehead. It's the same thing. Gotcha. But the post-war ones were lagging for quite a while. They're starting to catch up now, you know.
Right.
Indian was almost the reverse, you know, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even. Everybody wanted the big fendered Indians, you know, which started in you know, 1941, but the post-war ones were really renowned for those hugely balanced fenders, and they made quite a few of them. So those were the popular ones. But then those kind of fell off the table, and it was all about the pre-war Indians. You know, they were very, very strong, and the post-war Chiefs are starting to come. They're coming back pretty good now, but they were lagging. So American bikes still pre-war, you know. In the car auction business is what they, you know, used to, well, what they still call Model T syndrome, you know. Right. The guys that drove them were all dead. So their value dropped off significantly. And, you know, they're coming back, by the way. But that has never happened with motorcycles. Obviously, no one ever alive ever rode a, you know, 1915 cycle.
That's right.
But yeah, they're still really expensive.
What trends are you seeing in the types of motorcycles that a collectors are seeking out now?
You know, it's still the early bikes.
Bikes.
You know, and there's a division, you know, between American and other manufacturers. You know, Japanese motorcycles are a huge part of our collector motorcycle auction business now. You know, the demographics. I mean, the guys that had Japanese motorcycles in the 60s and 70s and 80s, I mean, they're well positioned to buy whatever the hell they want, you know. So this whole business, cars and motorcycles, is nostalgia driven for a large extent. You know, people want to have what they had when they were young, or even maybe more importantly, they want to have what they couldn't have when they were young.
Yeah.
Right. So that drives a lot of it. I mean, there's some investment stuff, you know, for sure. People picking up stuff thinking they're going to make money, but it's mostly driven by, you know, passion at least, you know, maybe not necessarily nostalgia. Maybe no one was anywhere near, you know, a 1946 Harley Davidson, you know, when they were young. Maybe they're still young, but, you know, they look at that design element to it. And, I've never seen one before, but man, that looks really cool to me. I think I'll see if I can buy one. So,
Do you
so that works too.
Sorry to interrupt you. Do you see more private collectors, kind of museums, or just riders in general who wanted those bikes, like you were saying, when they were young? What seems to be the typical profile of a Mecum motorcycle buyer?
Somebody who wants that bike. People have their different reasons. We've been over the nostalgia thing. The design element. To the design element thing, and motorcycles are exciting. Museums, will seek out a motorcycle that they don't have, but, many museums prefer actually to display motorcycles that are on loan rather than ones that they own. They're a lot cheaper, and they don't have that kind of money tied up in inventory just sitting there, So
It makes sense.
So they will buy, what they don't have, but which we're grateful for. But mostly it's just regular people. They want that bike. They're building their own collection.
Right.
We know a lot of people have dreams about maybe their own little museum. So they'll acquire motorcycles too. Some people just like to hunt. They're interested in motorcycles, so that's what they hunt. I have a customer that has 500 motorcycles because he likes hunting them,
Right.
So, brilliant. And it is fun.
Yeah. And
I
Greg,
try
with
not
the
to
rise,
require any, but it does happen.
Man, be
it
awesome.
happens to him. How many do you have?
Oh, I really just have a few, and
What's your oldest bike?
Early on, I knew I couldn't start acquiring motorcycles or would get out of control. And, financially, it's the same thing. I tie up money in that kind of inventory.
Of course.
Mostly what I have are project bikes. My daily rider is a 2004 Harley Davidson electric line that I got. It's new.
One owner since 2004, huh?
Yeah, it's a one
Nice, man. That's cool.
Yeah, actually, my wife bought it for me when I turned 50. I had been running, because we were racing kids back then, and I had just been running. I had a 76 Harley Davidson XLCH. That was a really cheap bike that I would get my 500 miles a year out or something. I sold it one fall, and I told, Cindy that I was thinking about maybe buying a used Goldwing in the spring, because I want something more of a touring bike. My birthday rolled around the end of March, and she stuck a, martini in my hand and said, "Go out the garage, look at your birthday present." I thought, oh, great, another barbecue grill, And I went out there. I went out there as a brand new electric glide. She said,
man.
you were threatening to buy a Goldwing. She said, and, you're 50, not 70. So I got you an electric glide.
Man, that's a good woman.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's a good one.
Good one. I can't sell that one. Either one of them. Can't sell the woman or the motorcycles.
That's all right. Those are good vintage collections right there, man.
I have actually a 1946 Indian Chief on my lift in the garage.
Wow.
Sweet. That's a bobber project. That's probably the world's longest running Indian restoration project. But
how long ago did you start it?
I think I acquired the bike 25 years ago, probably, or so.
Chipping away?
I didn't take it apart for a long time, and then finally I took it apart, and then slowly then putting it back together. But, the perverse thing about this job is because I spend all my time with old motorcycles, I don't have any time to spend on my old
on
motorcycles.
your own, yeah.
I have a 1973 Honda 350 4-cylinder that I keep on the road. That's a really sweet bike. I've had it for a long time. That's what I take down to Barber for my fit bike and run back and forth to the hotel in Birmingham with.
That's cool.
That's very enjoyable. I have some other projects, oddly enough, they seem to be Hondas, 1965 Honda Sport 65.
Cool.
1967 CB116. I have a Allstate 250. Some other stuff too.
You said a few, but the list seems to keep growing.
Yeah. Yeah,
Nothing.
I was gonna say the same thing.
If it's
For
less
somebody
than
who said
10,
only
it's
a few,
If it's less than 10, it's a few. So
that's
That
so
fine.
counts.
the end there. But,
That's cool.
So
that,
Greg
that
is
comes to that storage thing. They don't take up a lot of space.
I know, which is awesome.
Yes, totally. So
so.
we're
If, well, I think you covered that last one. So the next question is for engaging the new generation of riders. Is Mecum doing anything differently to be more engaging with that new generation and following upcoming trends? Or are you basically sticking to your to your regular guns?
well, there's never been any future in sticking to your tried and true. Obviously you have to take care of them, but you're always trying to branch out. On the car side, maybe the saving grace for newer customers is the resto mod. It's been a big help, with drawing a younger demographic into the car side. Or motorcycle side, I think that we're doing pretty good with that. The advent in the market of 80s and 90s, and even now early 2000s sport bikes is not to be discounted. We represent those very well. I've been pushing them for a long time. Those guys are younger, so that helps. Guys in their 20s, they like bikes. They're at Mama Tried and
Right.
they're at Just Built and we have been, represented at Mama Tried in the past. We get spread a little thin, and the problem is it's a motorcycle edition is not that deep. We would, we're going to work a little more on those events. And we have those type of motorcycles in our auctions. And we also have, of course, motorcycles that would be the, raw material for those kind of builds at our auctions too. When you watch the auction on television, whether it's cars or motorcycles, you see the stars.
Right.
Maybe the Thursday cars and bikes, but more likely the Friday or Saturday ones. What is harder to get across is how many entry-level vehicles we sell. We sell really a large amount of collector cars under $10,000. You would never know that for watching the TV show.
Right.
So we're well represented in the entry level there. It's the same way with motorcycles. We sell a lot of motorcycles under $5,000. So there's your entry, and that allows people that are just coming up either to buy a perfectly respectable collector motorcycle or the raw material for what they have envisioned in their head. It's there.
So has Mecum kind of put more emphasis on like maybe a social media campain or a different type of avenue for their marketing gear
We
towards
do a
that
tremendous
generation?
amount of social media. We have people that is your sole job, your social media, whether it's Instagram or
Right.
Facebook or TikTok or the other avenues.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, we work really hard at that, and of course that pays off. So it's all awareness. You have to get yourself in front. Say, we have this product that you probably are interested in. We'd like to help you. We'd like to help you enter it.
Right.
Right.
Let me ask you a question. This is one that I actually watched. Take us through that 1908 Harley Davidson strap tank sale, which was basically a groundbreaking sale for the motorcycle world. Can you take the audience a little bit into when he's seen it on TV or heard about it, as far as what made that bike so exceptional, and what was it like to witness something like that for somebody who basically has taken this division since Mecum acquired it, and it's been his baby.
Well, the strap tank Harley Davidson's a holy grail. They don't come up very much, the real ones, and this one was restored, but we had the old parts. And the Provenance was rock solid. A guy by the name of Eula from Milwaukee famously found it in the barn in the early 40s. And this was a rich kid whose grandfather owned Schlitz, for Christ's sakes.
Wow.
And could also connect him through his mother, Milwaukee industry. And, he was going to college in Madison, but he was just a mechanical nut, and he would, dig through the junkyards. And then, even at his age, he didn't have to do that, but he was just interested. And he acquired this bike, I think, as I said, in like 1941 or something like that. And he had it for a long time. Then he had it restored actually by a car guy in Indiana who had been an Auburn specialist or something like that. He also liked Miller race cars, and he got to know Dana Mecum through that because Dana likes Miller engine race cars too. So Dana eventually acquired the bike from him, kept it for a long time, and then finally sold it to a friend of his who then brought it back to the auction. We expected that it maybe would be, $400,000 or $500,000 at a minimum. It just took off. It just takes 2 or 3 people to bid on it. The people that bought it are fairly private, and they wanted the best. That's what they bought.
Did you have an idea kind of what the bike was going to bring before the auction started? Was there? I mean, I know obviously he had a reserve on it. You didn't. So when you looked at that bike, you didn't think it was going to bring those numbers, did you?
No, not quite that stratosphere. It's hard to say when you get up in that echelon, what something is going to ultimately sell for if it makes a reserve. But we thought 700,000 would be a really good day.
Right.
So it went over that. So that's fine.
With so many bikes passing through the Mecum auction, are there certain bikes that stand out to you personally that kind of like you were like, wow?
Yeah, there's surprising sales like the Honda Dragonflies. They're a specific paint job. They got real popular. You sell a Honda 350s for $55,000. You're wondering what the hell's going on.
I know, man.
The Flying Dragons,
crazy.
Flying Dragons have done really well, and they're a legitimate thing. And there aren't that many of them. There's a lot of imitations out there too. There was kits. They were a kit. Flying Dragon was a kit. They were supplied by Honda to the dealers to apply, at request or on spec to, either 350s or 450s to try and help move them because they were having trouble moving those bikes over time.
Right.
So, they sold. I mean, now you would consider them kind of almost a psychedelic paint job for their era, but there were a lot of unused kits, that still were at dealers that had been acquired over the years. So some of them have become, a little mismatched, since then. But so there's been bikes built with them. The real ones, have some, esoteric requirements. They have to have the right color kill switch and that kind of thing, which gets a little beyond my expertise. But, the real guys know.
The real guys know, yeah.
I think it's gotten overheated and I'm trying to settle a little bit, but I think they're established, reliable, expensive motorcycles now. That's surprising. When I'm walking through an auction and looking at the motorcycles and stuff, the ones that catch my eye aren't necessarily the most valuable ones, because I see the absolute nicest and most valuable and coveted motorcycles, and they're coveted for good reason, and I like them, but I'm always attracted to something weird too.
Right. Absolutely.
And I'm an original paint guy too. I kind of like some of the scruffy stuff. I think it's fun. So yeah, I'll pick out, some weird bike that's worth $3,000 or something and decide it's my favorite.
Hey guys, the show will be back in 1 minute right after a word from our sponsor.
Hey, One Gang, tired of feeling like your butt's taking more of a beating than your bike on those long rides? Introducing Butt Buffer, the ultimate solution to saddle soreness. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. These cushions are made from medical-grade viscoelastic polymer, scientifically crafted to eliminate pressure points and keep your circulation flowing. No more numb nuts or numb butts. And here's the best part. Butt Buffer cushions are made right here in the U.S.
for the last 30 years. From Harleys to Hondas, we've got a cushion to fit your ride perfectly. Plus, with styles ranging from sleek pebble polymer to luxurious sheepskin, there's a butt buffer for every rider's style. Get your butt buffer today at buttbuffer.com. That's buttbuffer.com. Your butt will thank you, and you'll ride longer and happier. We've got your butt covered. Do you, at that point, if it's something that you feel you can grab, do you make an offer before it gets on the auction block? Or no?
No.
Can you?
And we never pre-sell anything.
We never pre-sell anything
because it's not fair. Someone may have registered the bid solely on the basis of that particular vehicle. So
right.
We never pre-sell.
Boy, it's like working in a candy store, man. I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, no, there's only one way to do it, and that's absolutely is, keep your hands in your pockets.
Right. Yeah. And your wallet in your car.
Right. No, I can buy at an Mecum auction just like anybody else, but I have to pay the same fees as everyone else, and we are adamant about that. If it wasn't that way, then we would have an unfair advantage buying.
Of course.
So, I got to pay the same as everybody else, much as it breaks my heart.
Well, what is the fee structure for a motorcycle? I know
on the buy side, it's always 10%. You're going to pay 10% of the hammer price. Yep.
Okay. And on the selling?
The selling you can vary. If you have a reserve price on your motorcycle, then the commission is 10% also. If you run your motorcycle no reserve, then it's 6%. Now, there may be a structured deal on a collection, that might have a different commission structure. Depending on how much work we do, there might be a collection that's no reserve, but they're still paying 10% because, we have such a big cost involved.
Sure.
Transportation or whatever.
That makes sense.
So, it doesn't very much. Pretty much, it's always 10% on the buy side, and it's 10 or 6 on the sell side, unless it's a collection structured deal of some sort.
Rick, can I ask you a quick question? Hypothetically speaking, if somebody's listening to this podcast and just they have a bike in mind that they want to sell and they think it's a pretty rare bike, at that point in time, what do? Reach out to you or reach out to Mecum? And it starts off with what? Pictures and then video and then what? Just take somebody who may be listening and wants to sell a bike with you.
Well, the way to start is they can just call the, main Mecum phone number and ask for the motorcycle department. And then one of us will talk to them. And, we'll be happy to answer any questions there are. The other option is you can go to the website and take a look at, the auction. Say Las Vegas is coming up, and you can click on the red tab that says Consign Now, and you can just list your bike right away, and we'll still talk to you. You can send email queries to motorcycles@mecum.com. That's another good way to start. Just you will say, hey, I have a 1967, Triumph Bonneville that I would like to sell, but I really don't know how to go about it. Just send us that query and we'll respond and walk you through it. So there's several different ways.
Thank you.
Gotcha.
As I said before, we like to know our customer. When you call us, we're going to answer. Now it's possible we could be on the phone with someone else, but leave a voicemail, we'll call you right back. But this is a company that responds to its queries, whether it's via the internet or the telephone.
It's doing business the right way. So with the motorcycle collecting world experiencing lots of different trends over the years, in recent auctions, have you noticed any shifts, whether it be toward a specific model or type or changes in demographics as well?
Well, I think things blow hot and cold, the aforementioned, flying dragons or whatever it might be, the heat of the moment, will affect it. I think all all, brands would take their turns and kind of a sine wave of up and down, uh, there's no doubt about that. But the trend, is generally up. It's always been a matter of conjecture about certain demographics aging out, and you'll see divestment, but we don't seem to run out of buyers at the same time. So things hold steady. Several years ago, the early board track races were all the rage. So there were a lot of early bikes that were reconfigured as board track racers, and I think, that the market got flooded with those. And you saw the reaction to it and the prices, it kind of got to be like, well, there's another board track race.
Right.
They still look cool. They still make good offense bikes and stuff there. There's relatively few genuine ones out there, ever was.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool, British bikes, we've always had a strong contingent of British bikes. Bonnevilles were super hot for a while. I think in 2018, we had a lot of British bikes, but I think we had 65 Triumph Bonnevilles alone in that.
Wow.
In that auction. So supply and demand can take effect. For whatever reason, British bikes have been kind of soft the last few years.
What do you think it is?
I don't know. Supply and demand. Maybe overheating of certain things. You take a Vincent Black Shadow. Those used to be $1.25, $1.50 all day long. They subsided in many cases into the sub 6-figure range. They're still legendary and cool bikes. I think it's exposure, certainly. And, once that starts to take place, you'll see fewer of them in the auction. So then, of course, they'll become more desirable.
Right.
So here we are. The sport bike thing, like I said, that's coming up. The early Ninjas, there's some exotic,
Yeah.
4-cylinder Suzuki's and stuff, those RG 500s and so forth. Anything of that area, less exotic, I think they're all started to increase in value recently, and I don't see them going down. They were, cool for a reason when they were built, and they're still cool.
Still cool.
Yeah. Here's a fun question. How much does the history of a particular motorcycle impact its auction value? And what does your team do in preparing for authenticating and showcasing its
Provenance is a big deal for certainly anything considered being expensive collector motorcycle. Provenance is huge. If it's been restored, it is a wonderful thing if they have pre-restoration pictures. Often that doesn't exist. They didn't think to take before pictures. They're only interested in the after at the time. 10 years ago, any collector motorcycle, maybe that was a little bit ratty, would automatically be restored. And that is certainly not the case now because, originality just, of course, it speaks to the provenance. How much work do we do? We have to rely on what the consignor tells us. Specifics, we make them back it up because, we don't want to be left holding the bag for something that was described improperly. Once in a while, something will get through. And you know what? We take care of it. Because, that's the kind of business that we are.
Right thing to do.
But we work really hard not to have that happen, and VIN numbers, and every VIN is checked on every vehicle at a Mecum auction. Our VIN check teams are mostly retired state police officers, many of them Grand Theft Auto specialists.
Nice.
They're serious guys.
Yep.
Things get by, motorcycles are weird too, the manufacturers were small or odd or, you take Harley Davidsons where somebody blow an engine up and Harley Davidson would send a dealer a blank case and it was up to dealer to restamp them. So there's a lot of weird stuff that's going on there.
Wow.
There's also stuff that was stolen
Interesting.
50 years ago and restamped. How do you separate that,
Wow. Yeah.
So, if somebody has a motorcycle and they have a title and the title has the same numbers that are stamped on the motor, we're pretty good. But if the number looks bogus,
Mhm.
we can't necessarily reject it because it might be perfectly legitimate, but we'll announce it.
You
We'll say
announce it.
cases have been restamped, draw your own
Gotcha.
conclusions.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Would you say for somebody listening who might be looking into buying a vintage bike or looking to kind of start that hobby of theirs, what would you point out for somebody maybe coming into this to kind of keep an eye on if you're going to start buying vintage stuff? Is it more the casings, the stamping on the casings, or is there more?
Yeah, look at the numbers. The other equipment that's bolted on it, that can be changed, but the numbers should reflect, what you think you're buying. Certainly, numbers matching. If you're going to buy a vintage Honda, the frame number is not going to be the same as the engine number. Because they would run frames down the assembly line and then they would just pull engines off the shelf, and the numbers should be within a few hundred of the frame, but they're never going to match. They're not the same.
Right.
British bikes, however, quite often have a matching frame and engine numbers, unless you're talking about a Vincent, which is a whole other world altogether. If you're going to buy a Vincent, the headstock number and the engine number are going to be exactly 1,900 different from the other.
1,900 different. Wow.
And that's considered matching, oddly enough. So,
That's crazy.
why they did that, I don't know.
I think that is
but that's how it
crazy.
is, right? So
Jeez.
it is. So yeah, watch the numbers. Do your research. With the internet nowadays, you can look at any number. There's a forum, and a club for any possible motorcycle you could think of collecting. So, you'll have back up there. It's a wonderful thing. You can figure stuff out pretty quick.
Greg, let me ask you this. Are there any changes or innovations you're extremely excited about implementing that's for the future at Mecum now?
We've always, always in the modern era, we've always sold cars and motorcycles live at auction. And we've always had internet and telephone bidding as well. Obviously, the onset of the pandemic really ramped that telephone and internet bidding up. We think probably not in the far too distant future that we're going to maybe sell some motorcycles on an online platform. We think motorcycles lend themselves to that. Certainly the more, maybe, I don't want to say entry level, but maybe some of the more modestly priced collector motorcycles may lend themselves to that. We have a platform for memorabilia and what have you called On Time, which is a timed internet platform at market.Greg too.
It's cool.
We had acquired a Wizard motorbike collection this fall, and it's Wizard motorbikes and a lot of other bikes from the same guy that he would just put an engine on a bicycle because he wanted to. And that auction is closing at 1:00 today Central Time. It's kind of our first foray with anything really that had a motor in it.
Right.
On an On Time, time platform. We had a little microcar collection last year that did really well
Nice.
on that platform as well. So, we're probably gonna just, get into that a little bit more.
Do you see now, obviously, right now, it's a buyer's market more than a seller's market. With Mecum, does the economy affect the rarity, or is it more when it's too much of it is when it's affected? And nowadays, if the person just wants to buy it, they just buy it because it's rare and they got the money, right? or does the economy play a huge role in the way you guys?
Well, it can play a role. I was mentioning before, the economic tsunami back in, say 2007 and 8, 9, which was rough for anybody. We grew 30% each one of those years.
Right.
Because tangible goods starts looking like a safe place to put your money.
That's right. That's right.
Something sense. You can reach out and put your hand on, becomes desirable. It's not going away. It's not going to disappear off the screen like your money just did, So, that's been very well, we were just having a discussion about presidential election cycles. I asked Dave, I said, how many presidential election cycles have you been through in your tenure here? He says, well, 7 or 8, however it works out. And, we're a notoriously not political company. And this isn't an observation on that. And he says, it always makes for a rough September and October because people worry about it.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
I said, asked him the question that he was certainly anticipating. I said, well, after the election, how much difference has it made? He says, absolutely none.
Oh, no kidding. No kidding. Wow.
Not any measurable way. People just want to go on about their business no matter what. Doesn't matter who gets elected, we just want to go on about our business.
And the people who have it, they have it. So if it's something out there that they can buy because it's rare, they just do it. For them, it's not gonna. Whoever's elected doesn't matter at this point.
No, it doesn't matter. You could project and all you wanted about that, but there's no way that you're going to be able to measure that there's any effect on how much money this person has or that person has or what they're going to spend it on. People that like cars and bikes are going to buy them. If they need money, they're going to sell them. If they're too old, they're going to sell them. If it's gets to the point where they're owning them instead of they, and then they'll sell them also. And people just have a passion for collector cars and motorcycles, and they will buy them, as we all know, at least certainly us three know. Correct.
Do you one question before Ben goes to the next one? Are you getting a lot of foreign buyers, like people from other countries that are bidding on this stuff? So
bidding and selling.
Bidding and selling.
There's an ebb and flow. You go back to economics. There's an ebb and flow of currency. Where it's more advantageous to either buy or sell either way from an international position. We have bikes coming in from different places. I've got some coming in from the former Czech Republic right now. We do a great deal of business with Australia and New Zealand. In Japan, Canada, the UK, Mexico. There's some Middle Eastern interest too. And like I said, there's an ebb and a flow. So
thank you.
They go back and forth. I think there's some motorcycles that have more in ocean freight than their value. Having gone back and forth 5 or 6 times.
Right. Good point. Good point.
I think what I haven't looked lately, one year at a Mecum auction, I think that we exported to Australia alone 55 motorcycles. No, it seems like a large amount, doesn't it? But it's a big country.
Yeah. True. Good point.
Yeah, it's an international business for sure.
Right.
Yeah. In January, Las Vegas, the Mecum auction, that's where the world comes to buy and sell motorcycles, basically.
Absolutely.
How are you guys doing?
How are we doing? I'm just like, just listening to you talk, man. So I'm good. And could it be better as a motorcycle lover, man?
Motorcycle business, right?
Oh, with the motorcycle business, it's the same thing. It's slowed down. Always. I've been 20 years. I think I've been through 3 or 4 presidents, and always election year, the want buy slow down. And once I think if the right person's elected, obviously the confidence is going to go up in consumers. The wrong president's elected, then I think people are going to tighten up their wallets a little bit more. So
We always find it's pre-election rather than post-election.
Well, because I think Mecum just sells such rarity and such beauty that's harder to find compared to the normal dealers out there that are selling bikes or whatever it is that, you can buy whatever, Electro Glide with me, or you can buy Electro Glide with Joe down in Las Vegas. It doesn't matter. As long as whichever one's got the best deal. But when it comes to what you guys do, I mean, the quality of the products the research that goes into it, the amount of time and marketing spent to advertise that stuff, it's just different. That's why I feel that, people will spend if they,
but, like I said, we do a lot of entry level stuff too. So, we do a lot of, Joe Blow business, which is me and, which is our core. It's not the flash, but it's the bedrock.
So Greg, for motorcycle enthusiasts out there, for our listeners who are potentially interested in starting their own collection or even participating in an auction themselves, what advice would you give to those folks?
Well, what's the focus of your museum going to be? Are you interested in Japanese motorcycles or American or British or everything? You're going to want to acquire the most presentable representation of whatever the focus of your museum is going to be. I think probably, you don't have to go nuts, but they have to be presentable and representative of when you want to show. And you bide your time, show up early, and stay late, and you'll be able to acquire them.
Yeah. So setting a clear vision before you find yourself with a random hodgepodge of
right.
pieces.
Yes. Make a list and fill it. We'd be happy to help you. No doubt about it.
Cool. So what avenue is Mecum the most active on? What's the best way for your audience to stay engaged and stay up to date on what you guys have going on?
Well, I'd say follow us on Facebook or Instagram.
Okay.
Cool. Okay.
Check out the website. Website's a great amount of fun, if you go to Mecam.com and join my Mecum, all it takes is an email address, doesn't cost anything.
Get updates.
You get updates, and but maybe even more importantly than that, you can look back at any car or any motorcycle you ever sold or any auction.
Cool.
You can plug in, as I said, 1967, Triumph Bonneville, and you can see every one we've ever sold and what it sold for.
It's dangerous. It is a void to be sucked into.
It's a really valuable research tool.
Absolutely.
back to your collection acquisition and stuff. You can our database is pretty big for that. We've sold a lot. I think in my tenure here, we probably sold 20,000 motorcycles. I don't know. So that's a pretty deep base to be able to look at, for research to see what stuff's worth, So
Absolutely.
when you are buying, you got to have an idea of what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
It's fun.
Let's go to Mecam.com, and you log into my Mecam and plug in a motorcycle you're interested in. And, look back, you can scroll down, look at every one we ever sold. The original description pops up.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing's there, just like when it went to the auction this all. So you don't spend a lot of time, and it's just for entertainment, but it is a very valuable tool.
To see exactly. I mean, for a collector or a beginning collector to know what to pay for what it needs to be there. I mean, it's unbelievable too. Much better than just researching it online.
Right. That's a lot faster.
That's right.
And, you pull up, other sales results and stuff, but ours is pretty quick and easy, and like I said, it's pretty deep. It's a good start.
It's easy to get lost in. Have you noticed, and this is kind of unrelated, but I'm just curious, have you noticed, depending on where your auction is, do you find that maybe in Las Vegas, you see similar models that tend to get a better price on them as compared to Kissimmee or something? Do you have a location that seems to be a little bit higher a buyer?
That's starting to get a little fuzzy again because of the internet sales and telephone sales.
Sure.
People, because that are looking for a particular vehicle will get alerted, once coming up for auction, so they may buy on the internet, a motorcycle
Wherever it is,
Harrisburg,
okay.
Pennsylvania that, just happens to tick the box and comes out right. I think,
That makes sense.
live auctions, certainly, if you have a, valuable vintage or antique motorcycle, the biggest audience is Las Vegas. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, okay, cool. Thanks. Just curious.
All right, buddy, you ready for the speed round? We took the serious questions out. Now we're gonna have a little fun with you.
Oh, sure.
All right,
Good luck.
all right. You got it, man. All right, let's do it. First question: what is the best motorcycle you've owned or ridden?
2004 Harley Davidson Electric Line Standard.
Oh man, your wife
Full
is gonna
wheels.
your wife
Carburetor,
is gonna
most
love
real.
you, man. Let's go. All right. If you could have one superpower to use while riding, what would it be?
Be able to read minds, certainly.
Oh, phew.
Whether
that'd
it was
be-
a deer's or another motorist.
That would be awesome. That's a great one, by the way.
And be a lot safer.
Yeah. Best place you ever rode and why?
What? That's not a very speedy answer,
No, I
Best
get it.
place I ever rode, I don't know. I like the driftless area of Wisconsin. It's just beautiful.
It is.
Just hills and curves and well-maintained roads. Beautiful scenery.
Nice. All right. What's your guilty but go-to pleasure for an alcoholic beverage? And if you don't drink, what's your go-to snack?
I'm pretty much a live drinker.
Okay.
Any I drink
particular
very
one?
little of it nowadays, but yeah.
If you could time travel, which era would you visit and why?
Well, I like to see some dinosaurs.
Back to the dinosaur age.
Hey,
That'd be
Hey,
cool.
hey, that's the first on this show, man. We've had almost 100 shows, so that's a first. That's a first one. That's
Sure,
awesome.
if you're
man.
talking about humans, I don't know. I think maybe in between World War I and World War II would be pretty entertaining.
Oh yeah. Good point. That's a good one too. Yep. Favorite motorcycle movie of all time?
Easy Rider.
All right. Cool.
I'm that age. I saw it in the theater when I was like 15 or 16, so it had a huge effect, right?
Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah, I see that.
So yeah, mine too. So, who was your movie crush when you were a teenager growing up?
My movie crush was Jane Fonda.
Jane Fonda. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
Somehow or another, when I was 14, I managed to get into a theater to see Barbarella.
Barbarella.
I don't know if you've ever seen that before.
Of course.
But
Of course.
for a 14-year-old, that's pretty
Yeah,
much
man.
implemented, no matter what happened later.
Yep. Good
That's
point.
that.
Good point. That was like Wonder Woman for me with
Right.
Jane Carter. She was all right.
Have you ever seen Barbarella?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
You
It's
know
a
what
great
I'm
one.
talking
Yep.
about.
Of course.
But keep in mind, I was 14.
He's the young guy in the family. I'm 53, so I've seen all that.
Yeah.
Whatever you
I've
go.
seen Barbarella.
All right.
The plot, it was really plot deep.
If you could meet and have dinner with one person, past or present, who would it be?
Abraham Lincoln.
One law you would change if you were president for the motorcycle community.
I would say allowing self-driving cars at this point.
Disallow?
Yes.
Yeah, I that's a great answer, actually. That's a very good point. Yeah.
Well, I have this fear of getting killed.
I know, man.
Yeah,
I know those Teslas, those electric cars, they don't detect motorcycles, man. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Especially a
perfect.
motorcycle.
I know, it's insane. If you could get up on stage and sing or jam with one band, who would it be?
The Rolling Stones.
Great answer.
Is there another one?
Sure.
Not for my era, certainly.
Right. Stones were awesome, man. Best
Ain't never
prank.
gonna happen. Right.
No. Well, you never know. Never say never. Best prank you ever pulled on a fellow rider.
Prank? I don't know if I pull pranks on a fellow rider, probably not when we're riding. Oh, shit.
You never do the shut off switch? at a light to mess with your body.
Shut their bike off?
Yeah, shut their bike off.
No, because I know if they do that to me, I'm going to kill them. So
I know. It seems like a lot of people say you've done that.
I've seen some things happen. But
Yeah, no doubt. Most memorable, funny, or scary place you've ever had to spend the night during a road trip?
oh boy, I was, and when I was 20 years old, I rode my Super Glide down to Florida to spend the winter, and I was living in a tent in a campground. I don't know if I'd been drinking the night before, possibly. Anyway, I slept late. The sun was already up, shining through the tent.
Right.
And I rolled over, and there was a pretty big snake underneath my tent.
Oh, shit.
Kind of slithering over the fabric. That bothered me somewhat at the time.
That's scary.
Yeah.
It's
Right?
a scary way to wake up, no doubt about that. Wow. If you could challenge any person, celebrity, or just any person in general to a motorcycle race, who would it be?
I don't know, somebody easy. Any celebrity, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe Brad Pitt, Jay Leno,
Oh, yeah, good ones. Good choices.
Keanu
Yeah.
Reeves,
Yeah.
somebody. I would lose to all three of them, but hey,
I was going to say Leno's probably pretty quick.
yeah, I think he probably is.
And what's his name? Keanu's got the arch bike, so they're pretty fast, man. What they
Yeah,
build
yeah,
there.
they are. They are, yeah. I'm not a racer. I'm a blacktop.
Yeah, me too. Cruise, low and slow. Last dinner ever, what would it be?
The last dinner. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I don't know. Toss up between cheeseburgers and pizza.
Right.
You got a particular pizza you
I'm eating everything. I've thought,
what's your go-to
I've
pizza?
eaten at what was called the finest restaurant in the world before, but I like the basic stuff. So
What's your go-to pizza?
sausage,
Sausage. I love sausage.
thin crust.
And,
Easy.
all right. Last one. Besides the One Gang Worldwide podcast, do you listen to any other podcasts anytime? Do you put your time into stuff like that?
No, this is the only one.
All right. Best answer.
We have Mecum podcasts. I participated in before evil, but
Yes.
Yeah, we listen to.
Yeah, that's about it. My kids listen to podcasts when they're driving, and I have before, but I don't have a list, or drop in. It's either I'm listening to the road or maybe
Right.
music.
Right.
On a motorcycle, I only listen to the road, nothing else.
Me
never
too.
in stereo.
I don't
I'm
listen to
curious.
any music either.
Right.
It's the same way. Yep. Greg, you passed, man. You did it. You finished
Made
it
it.
in two.
All right.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
you're going
Really
into
make
the,
it very easy, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Hey, listen, just from the bottom of my heart, I'll speak for myself. Let Ben finish up. Thank you so much for taking the time, man. For a motorcycle enthusiast my whole life, I've always been intrigued what goes into that, getting you and you taking the time to come on our show, man, and just talk about this stuff. It's so awesome to understand the hard work that your team, Mecum in general, has to go through every time to put on that type of a quality show. So just thanks for everything you do. And thank you for giving us the time to come on our show.
No, I appreciate it. It's two wheels and a motor, man.
That's right.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Greg, that was awesome. We appreciate the behind the scenes looks, the tips for
anytime.
sellers
It
and
was fun.
buyers. That's awesome. Growing up, watching on Saturday mornings or whatever, just seeing Mecum, it's really cool to get an inside look.
Well, we
to
appreciate
hear about
that.
what you guys do. The logistics sound crazy. So thanks for
Logistics
sharing
is
with us, Greg.
unbelievable.
In and out.
Yeah.
It's tough. Yep.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
All
man.
right.
Have a great
Good
day.
luck. Good luck in Las Vegas. Knock them dead. Knock them dead out there. Hopefully all 1,500 bikes sell. And we got a
hopefully.
100% rating there, but we'll be watching it for sure and rooting for
Yep.
you, for your division and Mecum in general, just to have a successful year coming up too. So
Well, you'll be there, won't you?
we'd like to try, but I can't promise.
You get tickets.
If you can get tickets, maybe we
You just
fly
let
out.
me know. You just
Okay.
let me know. We'll come out.
All right. That's
Okay.
cool.
Right.
All right.
Right.
Thanks so much.
That's
I
awesome.
appreciate that.
It's no
Sweet.
problem.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Greg.
Thanks,
That's
Greg.
my man. That's cool.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, shit. All right,
Gonna-
let's see. Well, we
Look
got.
at
Love to
airlines
have you,
real
yeah.
quick.
Well,
Right,
what are
but-
the date?
right.
What are the dates for that show anyway? Just for our listeners.
Oh, so should we talk about that? Okay, yeah.
That's a good
January
idea.
29th through February 1st.
January 29th
Wednesday
to
through
February.
Saturday.
Okay. All right. Cool.
That'd be awesome.
That would be amazing. Hey, Vegas
Cool.
flights aren't too
San
bad.
Paul's
Dan.
free too. You ought to come
No,
up
they're
to
not.
Kissimmee.
I've gone to Kissimmee
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
few
let me know.
times. So, all right, that sounds good. That
Do
sounds
that.
good.
Shoot me
Thank
an email
you.
anytime. You got it.
You got it. Thanks,
Sweet.
man.
So
Appreciate
we'll either
that.
see you in
All right.
Vegas or Kissimmee. Yeah, heck yeah.
Or
Thanks,
both.
Greg.
Hopefully.
That's an easy one.
Yeah,
That's
that's an
hard to
easy
get
one.
out
That's a
of, yeah.
2 hour. That's a 2 hour motorcycle ride up the turnpike. So,
Well, hell yeah, that'd be great.
yep.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Greg. Have an awesome week,
All right,
man.
you guys.
Appreciate
Thanks,
You
bud.
too.
Have an awesome weekend.
Take
Thank
care.
you so
Have
much.